Hi guys, welcome to Squeeze Sessions with Galgal. This episode is going to be a power pack of information, everything related to artificial intelligence. Today we have two very important guests with us. Utpal Doshi, he is a partner at 100x Ventures, and Yash Sanghavi, who is the founder of Yanisa Execution. Welcome guys, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Guys, I would like you to briefly introduce yourself to the audience so we can get this podcast rolling.
Very brief introduction about myself. I'm a qualified chartered accountant, having spent more than 25 years in consulting. I started my journey as an angel investor way back in 2016-17.
Okay.
Then thought that this is something which is evolving, and you can't be a passive investor. You have to be actively involved. Then only you can understand what is going on. So I decided to take a plunge in 2022. I joined 100x, but over here my role is a little bit different. What I lead over here is a corporate venture capital, where I work with corporates who are looking at investing into startup and strategic investment. It's not really to gain financial gains, but more from investing into startups or partnering with the startups who are creating some kind of a strategic benefit for them.
Okay.
So that is something which I am leading, and happy to be on this podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yash?
Wow, amazing. So I think the time he started his angel investments, I was actually starting my career. So it's been 8 years I'm in the industry. I'll start with my failures first. So I started my first startup in 2016, which was into career tech. So where we used to use Kundli, basis of Kundli and psychometric test. We were gamifying it, and we were building something like a career report.
Okay.
And we were removing the whole the psychometric tests, which are traditional, right? So we impacted 10,000 careers there. But eventually, I was coming from a non-commerce background, and I identified that hey, I'm dependent on somebody who is actually leading the tech. Due to COVID, he was no more, and everything went down. That time, I did my MBA from Symbiosis, and then after that, I shifted to Paris. Came back, worked with Upgrade Education. I was really lucky enough to work directly with the CEO, country head, and India business, and then I went to the international business. Worked, next to Ronnie Screwwala. So it has been an amazing experience. So scaled the startup. I've seen a journey from 400 employees to 6,000, 8,000 employees now. So I've seen everything, build products with Purdue University, Arizona, Emory University, and then specialize myself into data science, digital marketing, AI, and that was where the weakness came from, right? Took a plunge from Upgrad and scaled multiple startups, and now I'm here building India's first AI acceleration program. That is how we brand it, but yeah, it's basically where we help D2C startups majorly, and we consult them to use and leverage AI into their systems.
Got it.
So that's what Yanisa Execution does.
You guys have had such an interesting career trajectory, and I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of growth in it. But I'm pretty sure you both will agree that in the last 2 years, the growth that we have seen in the AI landscape has been so exponential that we never predicted something like this to happen so soon. So where do we stand now? What does this AI landscape in India or even in the global landscape, what is it looking like, and what's the future like?
I'll just tell you, everybody's thinking that, year on year, we are growing. And 2023, because I was just reading a report, and it is a very famous report. 2023 to 24, investments in AI has decreased. It's not increased.
What are you saying? Okay.
From last 2 years, right? AI is definitely, it's on the left side of the bell curve, but still it is under the surveillance, right? It is the regulatory rules which are coming from government, and because of that, the investment space is also scared enough to should we invest now or not invest. At a global level, I'll tell you, US is at 250 billion USD. They have invested in AI. China is at 95 and India is at 8. Right? So you can see the potential where we can reach. In next 3 years, we would be in top 10 who are using AI and building and taking the use applications of AI. Currently, I would say that we are not in top 25 also. Because in this space, I have seen that in India, in specifically, AI is what? ChatGPT, right? But it is not. AI is much more older concept, and it is coined in 1956. So there are many applications and there are many companies, and I'll tell you the global leaders as we know, Google, OpenAI, NVIDIA. So these are the top players, but there is no player which is coming from India. So maybe a couple of years, I see that there would be like 20 to 30 startups who would basically be coming from the hardware space, where we talk about GPUs, semiconductors, etc., and the corporates. I can see corporates are also getting involved into the hardware space. So I think he's the best person who can give us that. But in the AI space, right, in the software space, I can see that we should be in top 3 with the talent and with the human capital which we have. That is the advantage which we have.
You think that this lack of investment, like you mentioned, is also because of the infrastructure difference between what exists in US, China, and India? Is that the reason, or like
or the risk appetite?
Yeah.
Okay, let me just take it up. Just look at it from investors' lens. They are looking at something which is sustainable, but something which is growing. Now let's look at AI and ML. What is happening? Every next day we are seeing some new development happening. We have grown from ChatGPT. Now we are actually moving towards a completely artificial intelligent robots who are basically on the road.
Yeah.
So if the technology is evolving so fast, look at from investors' perspective. If I have put in my money, I am putting my money from a perspective that this technology or this process will sustain and grow over a period of time. Now, if it is not happening, then obviously I need to find out my safe zone, and that is where there will be a little bit of resistance. I am not saying that investors are not going in for AI. I think so. Today, anything you talk about AI and ML, technology, investors are there to invest because they believe that's the future, and rightly so, that's the future. But then they are very cautious also that with the evolving of technology, how far it will go. So you look at what is happening from government side. I think so. Concern around data, concern around privacy is at the core, and to that extent, government is also taking a right step by saying that yes, you do AI, you do ML, you come out with some new ideas. But be aware about the transparency, because most of the time people, without even thinking that what they are using and what's the end use of that. So while you use it for yourself, but the data that is going out, what will be the end use of it? And I think so. This is something where government is also stepping in by saying that those AI, those ML, those the companies or startups who are creating such kind of AI or ML apps, they need to be transparent. They need to basically make it public by saying what would be the end use of the data that is being captured. So I think it goes hand in hand.
Yeah, but the AI is developing so fast, and sometimes the creators of the AI also don't know how the data has been used or where it's been stored, right? I think one of the key takeaways from this particular point is that people need to be aware that if they're putting anything into an AI database, it's out there in the database, and especially organizations when they download tools where they want to even on a personal level, if I have ChatGPT on my phone, but I'm using the office internet, and I'm essentially compromising all my organization's data to that particular AI tool that I'm using. So people are not aware of this. I think more education of that is required.
Yeah, you can't post or share your confidential data on that GPT tool, like your finances, for example. If you upload your bank statement on GPT and tell them, analyze my last 10 months of transactions, it'll give you the right analysis, but you are consenting to share that data with them.
So you look at it from cybersecurity perspective also, because the moment you are allowing an external app to work on your internal infrastructure, then there is always concern about data breach. And I think so. We are living in a world where cybersecurity is becoming so much of importance, and I think so. Everything put together, I think we cannot just look at AI in isolation or ML in isolation and say cybersecurity. I think we have to look at it holistically and take a decision as to what is to be used, how it is to be used.
Yeah.
I'll just add there. So going back to his question, right? Why the investments are not coming in, and this is where I want to go to two-level thing, that is B2B and there is B2C, right? So B2B and even in fact government, right? Government is also scared to share their data outside, right? So because of defense and everything, they are really scared to share the data outside. And the major reforms which are coming here right now is that whatever data you are sharing out, right? It should not be, going in the public in such a way that somebody can misuse it.
Yeah.
So this is where the resources which are coming from dark web, I don't know if you guys know about it, but dark web is a concept where people are just pulling off the private data. So this is where government is again confused, scared, and they are not investing to just give the authority to all the private players that, hey, build your LLMs, build your product. We want to control it.
But isn't it like stunting the innovation, you think? Because there are like now so many guardrails coming in place. Like what happens is if they don't have a free hand to develop this technology as they see fit, then also that kind of stunts the innovation of the product. You think that's happening in this space?
No, I think, what you mentioned, let me just come back to the same thing. People who are developing it, they may or may not be aware about the end result. So unless until you are very much aware, that is fine. But if you are not aware, then somebody needs to guard it.
Yeah.
And this is where probably government is stepping in by putting up those kind of regulations in place, such that the data at large is not going out in public. And I think so. We read it every now and then. Multiple data breaches are happening. Multiple data is available for sale.
Yeah.
These are basically the concern, and that's the reason why government is.
Is this including in DPDP, the new regulation that came out, the Digital Data Protection Act? Like, is this included in that, the AI guardrails that you're talking about?
There's a
Not very sure
separate
on
there's a
that,
separate white paper released by the government for the AI guidelines.
Okay.
Which is very recently. So.
Okay, and that also has to be updated regularly.
In March, there was a Gen AI summit and
Absolutely.
led by Narendra Modi only. So he had called all the AI startups across the country, and it was a summit only for all the youngsters, saying that, hey, AI can automate things, but eventually make sure it is safe.
So Yash, let's get to the state of today. You mentioned you're consulting
Yeah.
D2C brands. So, okay, ChatGPT is the most well-known tool out there, which is a conversational tool that based on your input gives you certain output, whether it's language compression, images, now videos. Share some more tools that you are using, both in the B2B, B2C space. I would personally like to know what's happening out there.
So let me put in a way that first let's understand what is generative AI.
Okay.
Because generative AI is just a part of AI. Automation is different, generative AI is different. Okay. Generative AI is basically predicting the next text, image, video, audio. So anything related to, like, let's say I want to generate an image. Okay. So there are tools like Adobe Firefly, there is Midjourney, right? There is Leonardo.ai, which are 3 of the top favorite AI tool out there. But before I tell you about the tools, you need to understand what is a transformer. So I'll not go technical towards it. A transformer is basically a mediator between the computer language and the AI model, right? So let me make it more simple. Let's say you are communicating to me. How do you communicate?
In,
Like
by
let's say,
messaging.
how did I came here?
We texted you कि
Right.
1 बजे है show
Right.
आ जा हाँ
Right. So what is the medium you?
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp, right? So it's basically a mobile phone. So let's say a mobile phone is a transformer, where it is a medium between you and me. I am a computer and you are a human, right? So ChatGPT is basically the front end of GPT.
Yeah.
GPT is the transformer, right? Same way, Midjourney is built on stable diffusion, right? So people have to understand that tomorrow there are so many tools out there build on ChatGPT API, and if tomorrow OpenAI shut down ChatGPT, all the tools are vanished.
All closed.
Yeah.
Right? So you need to have the basic understanding how AI models work, right? And which AI model is going to be the right use case for your business. Let's go one by one. So if you tell me, like for image, Yash, tell me which AI model is the best. I'll say Stable Diffusion is doing great. Stability.ai is also doing great, right? For video, there is Runway ML. So Runway ML is basically again built on the AI model, and that is Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, right? Same way on GPT, ChatGPT is built on GPT.
Yeah.
So there is a way and methodology which these AI models are functioning. Google Bard and Gemini is working on Google search, SERP, which we say, right? Search results page, and ChatGPT is working on the data sets, It is built on 10 trillion data sets, right? Whereas Gemini was built on 72 trillion. And there is something known which has recently come is Anthropic, Claude 2.0.
It's been in the news. Amazon is backing
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah, so Claude 2.0, 3.0. So it is backed by Amazon. Ex-founders of OpenAI started their own company, right? So and now Anthropic is going to be better in search cases like if you want to do something like research, statistics, right? It should be Anthropic, Claude 2.0. But if it is creative, right, it should be ChatGPT.
So I came across one more tool before this podcast, Perplexity.
Yeah.
What is that?
So Perplexity is a tool which basically gives you, let's say you go on Google and let's say I want to buy new sneakers, right? What do? Like Nike sneakers XYZ, right? Perplexity.ai is basically, it gives you the best links.
Okay.
You don't have to go to 100 links and search which is going to be suitable for me. So it's more like a sentimental analysis which understands humans' behavior and gives you the right answer. Okay, so this tool basically on the back end understands you well and give you the answers what exactly you need. Right, so it goes to the Google, it scrapes the internet, 10, 15 websites which is going to be more relevant to you, and out of that it gives you the best result. So it summarizes all the best use cases.
Are they competing all with each other?
It's a question which is very, I would say very
Tricky to answer.
yeah, tricky to answer because they're not competing with each other.
Okay.
So let's say obviously Claude is competing with GPT. Okay, Perplexity is competing with Google.
Google search.
Right, it's competing with Google. So it's not competing with chatbots. It is competing with the whole Google search framework only. Geo is coming up with their own.
Bharat.
Yeah. So it's basically Hanuman, right?
Yes.
So it is called as Hanuman. Ola is coming up with their own AI model, right? So
Will it be a chatbot or?
it's a chatbot.
Okay.
It's majorly built on.
Krutrim.
Yeah. So this basically all these platforms are having the same use cases, but eventually built on different parameters, different variables, different data sets. So that's basic of how generative AI works. But generative AI is anything which basically predicts the next text, audio, video, and image.
For people to better understand what chatbot is relevant for their specific use case, you think they should be like playlists, like how songs have playlists, like there's a rock playlist, there's a hip hop playlist, there's a instrumental playlist, and context in which a rap song is made is very different from which say classical song is made. Like the data points are very different. Like so, in the same way, you think like there are playlists right now that people can go to and refer that okay, this is what I need, and these are the different tools that are going to be useful for me, and then they can explore.
Yep. This is what Yanisa Execution does, but yeah,
Okay,
thank you so
great.
much. So, but no, I'll just tell you like.
But GPT has its own app store, right?
Yeah, so that's different. I'll be
Yeah.
telling. That's a feature, right?
Okay.
So what he asked is there any resource like Wikipedia where I can just go and say that I need this AI tool, right? So luckily, on my previous episode, because I run a podcast, so I called Anirudh. He's from Bangalore, and he has found a company known as Everything AI. Everything AI has Everything AI.
Okay.
So every tool which is launched in India is basically on everything.ai. But at a global level, if you heard about GitHub,
Yeah, we use
right?
GitHub.
So what is
yeah.
GitHub? GitHub is open source where you get the codes and everything from
Much
open
more
source,
than that.
right?
Yeah.
Much more than that. It's
Yeah.
more like a community of developers.
Also,
right?
it's used to push builds out there. Our software engineers use it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So same way on ML and AI, it is known as Hugging Face. All the LLMs or whatever the coding is done on the LLMs, right? It is on Hugging Face. So let's say I want to have text to image as a model, right? I want to use it in my application. What can I do? I can go to Hugging Face. I can have the open source codes there. I can just take it for my own application. Obviously, you need to understand the engineering out of it, but I'm just telling Hugging Face is where you can get all your LLMs or your data sets from Hugging Face. And if you are launching the product, so this is like the back end of the product. If you're launching the product, then Product Hunt is there.
No IP risk of it's open source code.
It's
so
open
there's no
source.
IP risk. Okay.
Yeah. Product Hunt gives you the front end of it. So let's say you guys are launching your app,
Yeah.
and if you are number one in the Product Hunt, 1 to 10, your product is anyway successful globally.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking for a tool to use for my personal case, Hugging Face, if
Yeah.
I want to build a product, then it's Product Hunt.
You want to build and use the LLMs or which are already existing and built by Google, Facebook, Meta, X, whatever, right?
Hugging.
It is there on Hugging Face.
Got it. Got it.
Right? The data sets are there on Hugging Face. You just have to pick the data sets and the algo and use it in your own business applications.
Understood.
While I'm very much excited as an investor, I really want to invest into this, AI and ML tools or, startups. But, there's always a concern that, what I am going to invest into, whether it will become relevant or it will remain relevant tomorrow or not.
Right.
Because what I was thinking when Yash was giving us these app names, if GPT itself has launched its own version of a content writing tool, video editing tool, and there are other startups that are claiming that, oh, I am an AI tool, but I will edit your scripts or videos. So how relevant can that company stay if GPT itself is launching it as a free tool? Is that what you're referring
Absolutely,
to?
but simultaneously just think about it. Those startups who are creating some kind of a technology solution which is based on the GPTs or some other such tools. Tomorrow, like as Yash mentioned, tomorrow if ChatGPT shuts down, then all those things will remain unless until they move immediately to something else. So there has to be a plan B kind of a thing that okay fine, it's more like a disaster recovery plan.
Yeah.
That okay fine, tomorrow if something happens, then do I have a fallback?
Yeah.
And if I don't have a fallback, then the entire investment is
Okay, it's become like the nucleus now. Like with that shuts down, it's become a problem. But again, so like circling back to you, like when you are looking at these different companies that you have to invest in, and you mentioned like this is a concern in the VC space as well. Like, will these companies be relevant in the next 2 months or even in the next month? What are your filters when you're looking at companies in the AI landscape? Like, how do you filter out the right ones to invest in versus like the ones that don't make the cut?
Okay, I think I need to step back and just tell you more about our investment strategy, because at 100x we are investing in a pre-seed stage, so very at an idea stage, very nascent. People are just coming out with idea or they've just completed their MVP. We look at that point of time. So from our perspective, the parameters are very simple. We look at founders. Who are the founders? They really know what they are doing. So are they technically qualified to do what they are doing? What is the idea? Is it something which is relevant as of today and will remain relevant? Probably 2 years, 3 years down the line. Because as an investor, a journey is not like invest today and sell it tomorrow. It's like a 5 years minimum.
Correct.
So then I have to look at from that perspective and then look at the kind of market that they are going to cater. So these are the basic parameters which will basically help me in decide whether I'm going to get my X return. So ROI is the most important. All put together will help us in deciding whether we have to invest in a startup or not. And believe me, we have invested in a couple of startups which are working on AI domain, something on conversation AI, something on generative AI, and they are doing well. So it's all about learning, understanding what's the technology, and fortunately we have a CEO, Vatsal Kanake is the CEO and he's the techie. So he knows the technology threadbare. So anything that we have to understand or evaluate from technology perspective, he is there, and when he is giving a blessing that okay fine, this is something which we can go ahead, we are taking a call on that.
Understood.
Good, so proper due diligence check in place.
It has to happen because we are the first check writer. We are taking the maximum risk when we are investing. And rest of the world will follow us. But we are you can say we are the flag bearers. Now if
one follow-up question, because your role you mentioned is into corporate deal sourcing, any particular agenda right now for corporates who don't want to build out their own AI tools? Have you seen any case studies? Obviously, if it's confidential, I know you won't share, but anything that you could share to the public knowledge?
So I'll probably put it in a different way. Just think about a company, a corporate, who is basically trying to develop something. Now, if they have to deploy their own resources, their own team, they really don't know what will be the outcome of it. So what is happening is you are deploying your resources, you are deploying your manpower without any understanding that what will be the end result, whether it will be successful or failure. Now imagine a startup, very frugal, 3 or 4 techies working together, and they have already developed something which you are looking at. So it makes more sense for a corporate to rather partner and invest into a startup than try to do something on their own. And this is something which is emerging very fast. We are seeing corporates coming up and they are saying that either we want to invest or we want to partner with them. And there are ways and means of doing. You do a direct investment, or you first give them some kind of a use case, some kind of a problem statement, let them generate those kind of a solution, evaluate that, and if it is relevant for you, then take a decision either to partner with them or invest into them.
Like the example we said, Amazon investing in Anthropic. So this is what is happening in the real world where people.
So I want to put it in that way, that how do you invest and how do you do the due diligence if the particular startup is going to be sustainable or not. The first question you need to ask is, are they building AI or are they using AI? I want to go deep into it with an analogy. So let's say Godrej, right? What they're doing? They're building refrigerators, simple. What is Coke doing? They're using fridge to sell their product, right? So basically, when you build an LLM or build a product, it's a different game altogether, where the top players are competing. X social medias, because obviously they have the data sets, right? And there are people who are using the AI and building money.
Or lay on top.
Right. For me, in specifically, I divide this into two things. One is a service-based business, and second is like you're building the product, right? In service-based business, like for example, we are doing for D2C startups, right? What we do is a basic thing, like I want to do a product photo shoot. Today, there's a major challenge in India because photographers, videographers, you go to the studio, the rent of the studio, then you go back and go to the editors, do the editing, put it on website. So there are 5-6 people who are actually helping to put the content on either the marketplace or either their own website.
Right.
With AI, we can just eliminate everything. And this is where I am coming in the picture. So this is a service-based model, right? Because we are helping them and we are partnering with the right people and the right platforms out there who are helping to, save almost, I'll say 30% of the cost for the company, right? So this is where the use application of the service model comes in. And when you build the products, right? There are, like, if you're building your own product on your own LLM and the data sets, you are going to be one of the major player in the market, because then the questions will be, what is the accuracy?
Right. Like, I also want to get into these areas where people are making money in side hustling AI tools. Like, for example, building plugins for GPT. How do you do that? Like, this kid sitting in his college dorm room, wants to make a quick buck for his pocket money and wants to develop some sort of plugin for GPT. How do you start? How does he do it?
GPT has their own GPTs. Okay, it is known as GPTs. Earlier, it was known as plugins. GPT-4 has taken 3 things into one platform. That is code interpreter, where the data analysis is done. Second is the plugins, and third is basically your chat bot, right? They have combined into ChatGPT-4. Now, what you do is basically you can create applications on ChatGPT itself, where you just write in simple English. Hey, I want to build a finance app, right? I want to build something like a content creator for him or her. It is very important to write captions, body, and CTA. You can build a bot for LinkedIn, a bot for Instagram, a bot for maybe Twitter, right? And before you put across the bot, right? Before you build the bot, what you do is, let's say I'm building a LinkedIn bot, right? This is what, if you see my LinkedIn, it's totally automated. I don't have to do anything because that bot does everything for me, right? So what we do is basically first we invest in our personality. We tell GPT to ask all the relevant questions which you need from me to understand me better, right? That's basically known as prompt priming. It's a prompt engineering concept and reverse prompting, right? Where GPT asks you the questions, you answer the questions, and you give your personality. You give your LinkedIn, you give your YouTube, you give your articles if you have written. So it understands your tonality, professionalism, and everything. So it's like a questionnaire which they ask, right? You put that in a Word document, you save it, and you put it in the bot, right? Second is, how does LinkedIn functions? How the algo of LinkedIn functions, right? If you understand LinkedIn algorithm, there are many, secondary files out there on the internet. You can just download that and put it in the bot. Hey, I want to write in the style of, let's say, for one of my favorite content creators is Raj Shamani, right? He is really very good with podcast. He really asks relevant questions. So I want to, write in the form of Raj Shamani. I can give references, examples that you need to write according to Raj Shamani, right? Then I put his personality also. So on ChatGPT, you can upload 5 files. Now, obviously, they have increased more, but you can upload 5 to 7 files, give them all the details, and then tell the bot that you need to behave according to Yash, like Yash Sanghavi is writing LinkedIn post. Then you give the bot name as, let's say, Yash Sanghavi LinkedIn post, or if I want to sell it out of market, now GPT is doing that. What they are trying to do, they are, as he mentioned, right? They are trying to eliminate all the smaller players who actually topped on GPT. So they remove the plugins as a function, they build GPTs, and now they are coming out with each and every model. So coming back to him, they have a text model known as ChatGPT. They have a video model known as Sora. Now they just launched a audio model yesterday.
Yeah.
Right? So every model they are entering into, like text to video, text to audio. So no players can be a top on GPT.
I'll share a personal note. Like, I built a bot for my work, and you can not only put in Word documents but books, whatever references you come across. So I've made a CEO coach bot where
Wow.
if I'm looking for certain answers where I don't know what to do and what, so I've said, hey, think like this person and what would they do. But the only thing is, it's not a free tool. You need to be on the
So
paid
GPT-4 is
subscription.
obviously paid.
It's a paid
But
tool.
I'll tell you the
Yeah.
trick here, and guys, this is something which we do it in our courses. But so there is Bing. If you don't have access to ChatGPT 4, you can use Bing, and it is integrated with GPT-4. So you don't have to pay for ChatGPT 4.
Great
Okay.
thanks.
So I mean, this is what we do, right? And why do you want to pay for all the tools, right? We basically help all our users to leverage AI. And leverage AI in 90 days and increase your productivity.
I really want the audience to know more of these hacks. Should we go into each category? Let's say content creation. Let's say finance. If you want to explore spreadsheets, valuation models, pitch decks, more if you have any in mind. Let's say a video editing tool or marketing strategy tool. Do you want to go in one by one and share some tools? Like what's say lead generation? For you, that's important as a consultant to get startups reaching out to you. Do you want to share?
Yeah, I
each?
would definitely share. So I'll not say they are AI tools in specific. So it's basically growth hacking, what you're asking for.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is done by AI, right? So I'll tell you for lead acquisition, there are many tools like snoof.io, Phantom Buster, where you get the email IDs of all the TGs you want to target, right? So you can get it from snoof.io, Phantom Buster, where you get the email ID and then you can automate the emails also using now MailChimp has come in, right? The CRMs which are there, like Salesforce, Lead Square, you can say now Odoo has come in, right? These all players are also integrating AI into their lead acquisition, like a format of lead acquisition.
We are doing free marketing for all these companies.
Yeah, I mean, definitely that's where we charge. But I'll tell you that, I mean, I don't know why people are not using it. They're just not aware. They're ignorant. I'll tell you with video automation, right? Currently, what we are doing, we are shooting the video. You're going to put it in clips, right? Who is going to do it? A video editor. We can eliminate them. So there are tools like Submagic, HeyGen, which can eliminate that, right? If you want to create an AI avatar, right? I am speaking right now, but you don't know I'm a human or I'm a avatar, right? So there is HeyGen, which is one of the best in the world right now, right? So you can do that. If you want to build PPTs, beautiful.ai, gamma.app, right? So they are basically like you can put your documents there and you say that you give me a beautiful PPT out of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't have to put your document, you just have to write a prompt.
True.
You get beautiful PPTs out of it.
And then
right?
you customize it further according to how you want
But
to.
again, they are top down GPT, right? So if I'm just telling you again and again, GPT is going to compete with, like, they're not, the competition is not the players which are actually working on GPT. The competition is with the bigger players, like now X is coming in the AI picture.
Let's go another use case, sir. Do you use anything in your day-to-day working life? Any AI tools you would like to
using, but frankly, if it comes to me,
Yeah.
I will be completely blank. But yes, I know my team, Vatsal, they are using multiple, AI tools. We have actually invested in AI tools like Vodex.ai, which is basically on your marketing, sales and marketing tool, which helps you completing your entire sales part of it. Something like Mitra.ai, it's a multilingual, so it basically translates into 72 languages. So these are the ones. So what I'm saying is, while we have invested, but knowing that at one point of a time it becomes relevant for us also. And we are certainly, using a couple of tools for our own purposes also. In fact, when we are talking about GPT, I came across, it's still on a development stage, but from investment perspective, if I give all the information, relevant information like pitch decks, financials and everything, it actually creates the entire investment memo, which is relevant from investors' perspective, which are the red flags, which are the positives, negatives, what is the future. It goes through everything and creates one single investment memo, which is relevant, which can be circulated around. So, I think so. For us also, it becomes very relevant. If we are not using some kind of a tool, it becomes difficult for us.
Yeah, I'll just add on. So when you talked about Vodex.ai, right? So they are amazing because what they do is basically they have automated sales call, right? You will not identify the other person is actually a human or not, right? And in that, so it's basically again, go deep into audio generative AI, right? So it's another careers altogether, but now there is something known as Hume.ai.
Is it also used like for customer support queries?
Yes. So you don't know, like today I am getting a call from major edtech players are using this, right? So I'm getting a call like, hey, you want to take the course? I don't know who is the other person. The person is AI actually. And it can actually, so there are personas which are already feeded inside it. So maybe my voice and all your voice, his
male,
voice,
female, all ethnics.
Yeah. So if you, I mean, in internet it is going very viral, but Shah Rukh Khan's voice, you can just like Shah Rukh Khan is calling you saying that happy birthday.
But can he sue you for that? Because it's
now,
the copyright issue.
Very good topic. So I used to tell this in my videos also that see there is something known as inspiration, taking inspiration. Like you're building you're actually painting, right? Like you're painting the scenery, and then I am taking an inspiration and building. I mean, I am painting another paint. Am I copying you? Can you sue me for this?
It's inspired by Harsh.
It's inspired. Right, so same way AI functions.
So recently what happened, I was getting regularly tagged into these scam videos where it's a Virat Kohli video and it's an AI generated Virat Kohli voice and it's like मैंने ये app download किया है और इससे मुझे मेरे account में 50,000 आ गए. First thing I found it very funny. Why is Virat Kohli saying that मेरे account में 50,000 आ गए? You're talking about Virat Kohli over here. But these are becoming more and more common now. Virat Kohli is not going to go around running like who is the owner of this app, how can I sue him? It's not going to, like, you cannot trace that person. And if you trace this person, like you said, there are so many loopholes around it.
Right.
I feel now with all these plethora of tools available, one of the main skill sets that people will have to develop is prompting. Like even you being able to describe properly what you exactly want from this sort of AI tool is going to be a major thing, because if you're not able to articulate the exact thing that you need, the AI might just go haywire and pick up things from here and there and might give you something that you don't need. Also, I want to ask you this question. When you mention about customer support and these edtech players using like these customer support bots, are these bots able to identify the nuances of, like, say, the microcultures that exist within India? Like someone from a Maharashtra might not relate to a sort of a topic from, say, Andhra Pradesh. And when that agent is talking to a customer and the customer asks a question that is relevant to that particular geographical location, how do the bots combat that sort of a situation?
What do you think and who do you think can make this possible? If you want to go localization, right? This is basically going local. So I'll tell you the major internet companies, Airtel, Jio, and when Mr. Ambani steps in, right, and is coming up with his AI models, the whole reason of bringing our own Indian AI models or AI, I would say, players, right, is that they don't understand the language, right? The US, Silicon Valley ones, they don't understand the language and the accent. The data sets are trained in a very different parameters. So there will be region-wise partnership, which will be done, which I can see in the future. Let's say I am not able to understand Marathi, right? So what will happen is there are tools which will basically convert that from text to audio, right? Then there is audio to video. So when you visualize, when you see a product, so eventually I see companies going more on video rather than just audio. So today's sales call are more on Google Meets rather than just audio, like outreaching, right? So I see that also coming in, and where avatar will play a role a lot, right? So AI avatar, which we say, and when AI avatar understands the personality, the way I speak, the tonality of it, right? It will able to copy the accent I speak. It's not only Marathi; it's like Yash's Marathi.
Yeah. It's like the North Indian Hindi and Hyderabadi Hindi, very different.
Yeah, but it's a category, right? But let's say my accent in Bombay is going to be very different in Hindi than North India Hindi, right? It will replicate according to what I want.
Yeah.
So
you were earlier telling us about this tool that is like an audio generation tool which understands the emotion and gives back output also in like different emotions, right? You want to try a demo on that?
It's a tool which is basically understands the sentiments and it empathizes with you.
Okay.
So the tool name is Hume.ai, and let's say I'll do a demo with him.
Yeah, sure.
So however you're feeling right now, you just tell them that, hey, I am feeling like this. What should I do?
Hey, I'm curious to know, what's the future of AI? Can you tell me?
The future of AI, huh? Well, let me tell you, it's going to be a wild ride. I am talking sentient robots, flying cars, and maybe even a few world-ending singularities. Just kidding. But in all seriousness, I think the future is going to be all about AI that really connects with us on an emotional level, like AI that can read between the lines and respond in a way that's actually helpful and meaningful. No more awkward Siri moments, am I right? So what do you think? Ready to embrace your new AI overlord?
So you actually get a reverse question also. Yeah. So I think so the way it trains itself and continuing your conversation is basically, it will again ask you some reverse question, take your input and then develop, further on the answer.
Yeah.
So I think so.
Yeah, so let's say, oh, he was listening. So yeah, hey, I'm feeling very, very angry and I don't know what to do now. What should I do? I feel that I should, jump from the building.
Oh, there, that sounds really rough. I can feel you're extremely angry, even feeling distressed, but hurting yourself is never the answer.
It's like a therapist, basically, therapist in your pocket.
Yeah, it's empathy.
And you can basically program what sort of response you want to hear from it, right? If you want it to be a coach or you want it to be just like a like a listener consultant, like you can train it to that. So then, what's your take on this? What's the future for consultants? Like, if there's going to be a large language model that's going to be trained in all the consultant case studies of the world and all the business and marketing tools of the world all fed into it, and it's just going to be like a portal where businesses can go and just ask a particular business question and get feedback.
No, I'm thinking in a different way. Let's look at a consultant. Okay, you're desperately in need of a doctor and doctor is busy, not available, traveling. He can actually use such kind of something which is probably, when he is using his avatar, he has this app, a client, comes back and he is asking for an advice. This will basically work.
Yeah.
So it will continue to get more and more evolved. It will basically try to understand, because partly when you know that who is your client, you can feed in the basic data. And if the same person is basically asking you, calling you up and you are busy, this will basically take the feedback, try to give the answer. But at the back end, it's also generating some kind of feedback for a doctor.
Yeah.
So whenever he is free, he can go through, the response that has been given, and if there are any corrective action that needs to be taken. And believe me, this is going to be useful for them who are busy, and for those who are not able to go in person and meet.
Yeah.
So this is something which is going to work very well.
The whole AI tools are gonna improve our efficiency and productivity.
Yeah.
It cannot replace a human being, because till I don't keep nudging and prompting correctly, it's not going to give me the final output.
You have to think out of the
Out
box.
of the box, yeah.
Really.
And without the real world exposure, how can you get a final answer from a bot, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm going to use two words that you guys mentioned. One is nudging and one is thinking. Okay, I'm going say 20 years in the future from now, where most of the world has a Neuralink chip in the head. Everything is getting more and more digital, so all your digital data is out there in the world, and essentially all the AI models of the world have all the data of everyone who has existed on this planet and who are right now living on this planet. So I don't have to prompt anymore. I just have to think. I just have to think that, okay, I need this. I need to figure out this business plan. I'm feeling a little low right now. I need to this. And the AI voice is talking in my head. Do you think that sort of future is going to exist? One.
It's not the future, it's the present.
It's the present?
I'll tell you, prompt engineering
Yeah.
as a career is also gone.
Okay.
Why? Because prompting is not a skill anymore. It's just going to be very easy to prompt because earlier when you used to say, right, that you need to build good prompts, etc. This is a year back. It's not like 20 years back, right? Now, no, I'm using simple English. And what you said is basically application. So I'll give you two concepts. One is when you have two AI models working together, that's fine tuning. Okay, so let's say text to image, image to video are working together. That's fine tuning the model and getting the results. Okay, and there is something known as what you said is IoT, robotics, and applications of AI with the hardware. Right, so the device which you said is already there in the market. Right, it's already there in the market where it's currently you said it's basically a earphone. It will come to your lens, and if you know about AR, VR and Apple Vision Pro right now, what is it about? It is about this, that here I'm sitting in my couch, I'm just visualizing things and my work is done.
Yeah.
Right, so this is the future, and in not next 20 years, but I'll tell you by 2027, the world is going to change. Right, and I'll slightly disagree with him that will AI replace people? Yes, I would still say it will replace people who does not know, which we actually it's a social media line, right? That people who does not know how to use AI, they definitely get replaced. But it's like internet times, right? When internet came in 1990s, everybody was like job guy, but now everybody's using internet.
Yeah.
So I'll just tell you that the jobs will change in nature, and it will be like a Pareto's rule, like 80-20. Companies will go to like 20% of their revenue will be coming from where? If you go today, what is your company revenue coming from?
Yeah, like the Pareto distribution basically is like 80% of your chunk comes from the 20% of that effort.
Right.
So if you have to address one action, because you highlighted a very important thing over here, an actionable step right now for that person just entering into either the workforce or entering into the education stream, what should he or she be aware of, and what actionable steps should they take right now when it comes to AI? Are they just supposed to experiment with the tools, just go out there, be in the wild, just experiment with everything? Or are there any particular websites, or are there any particular skills that they need to develop for the future?
Yeah.
So I'll tell you, this goes back to education, right? Because I'm coming from EdTech again, right? This comes to my core topic. But when I used to see AI 6 years back, right? There were no courses which were there in AI in specific, right? There were no courses in, like, let's say machine learning, generative AI, right? Data science, something like that in your after school, like that is like in Bombay it is like 10+2, right? There were no courses, but currently in the standard 6th, right, you are used to ML. So the things are changing a lot. There is national education policy which is coming in. There is something known as joint degree. You can do engineering with digital marketing.
Okay.
You can do like machine learning with something like data science, right? So I'll just tell you that education is going to change a lot, and edtech players, right, they're also bringing up with hardcore skill set into the academic courses, right? So let's say I want to learn digital marketing. So how do I do it? I basically go to the college. There is no digital marketing course. I can go to a private player and get a digital marketing course, right?
Correct.
That was an example. Now the question you asked, how do I upskill? And what should I upskill? And what exactly, where should I start from if I'm in AI, right? I'll tell you, you should, like, if you go to the business level and if you go to any consultancy, there are roles known as business analyst, right? There are roles known as business intelligence. You should start with that, right? If you're not coming from the coding background and if you're at, you know, your mid-20s, I'll tell you, you should start with business analyst and business intelligence role, right? Then you can go down, and I want to make it another analogy. Let's say it's a tree, right? AI is a tree. The stem of the tree is machine learning. Okay, there are branches, right? So there is data engineering, there is deep learning, there is NLP, there is computer vision, right? There are different careers in AI, right? So now this whole tree is actually making you to you know, candidate. Like, one is you can become a data scientist or you can become an ML AI engineer. Okay, both are in different field, but eventually both are related to your programming languages, right? So as I said, if you want to use AI or you want to build AI, if you want entering into building your AI, then you should know the skills, which is starting from prompt engineering. Then you should know your Python very well as a programming language, and you should know the basic of SQL and your I would say machine learning programs, right? And the libraries which are there out. AI in specifically, if I tell you, it's a combination of many things, right? It's a big career altogether, but you should start as a business analyst, which I feel, because you visualize the data first, you understand the requirement, and then you start basically reverse engineering and build your AI models.
Understood. Understood.
So imagine India is like, 140 million plus people. It's a fertile land.
Yeah.
You have the upcoming generation who's basically used to this AI ML. Now it's the right direction that they have to take.
Yeah.
And I think with the kind of changes in the policies, changing in the education, it's more and more people who are aware about it.
Yeah.
So when you are aware about something, I believe you will find the right course, and we'll see more and more students who are following this particular field, as compared to the historical things what we have gone through. So I think so the next stage is basically the whole technology.
And I'll just tell you about, he rightly said, right? It's about the awareness which we spread. I want to give this awareness today with this platform, right? I just said about something in coding, but there's something known as no coding. Today, whatever I'm building in our organization is on no code. Without coding, I can build apps, I can build softwares, I can build SaaS products, right?
Website.
So there's another career which is building, that is no code, and no coders are earning more than coders. Okay.
Why is that?
Because see, no code as a skill is not developed by many people, and no code as a skill requires complementary skill set like UI UX designing, right? There is something known as CRO conversion. So if you are building a website, right? So how can you increase your conversion and traffic, right? So this can be built on no code also. And no code is basically, let's say I want to build my website. Today there are two options: WordPress, Shopify, no code, right? But there are people who are building it from
Webflow is also no
Webflow.
code. Right?
Webflow is the best right now, right? So Webflow is the current best platform where you can build your website. Then I want to build a SaaS platform. How you can do it? I want to automate my processes. So there is something known as Bubble and Glide. Okay, you can use such platforms. And in India, I will say Builder.ai, which is one of the leading 2023 from the round of investment. They raised 250 million, if I am not wrong, 250 million USD, something like that. So they are one of the top players, right? So no code as a career is actually very good. And I would definitely want people to pick up no code and just not assume that I'm coming from commerce. I cannot, build apps.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm coming from commerce right now.
Yeah.
But I'm talking on AI.
So, like, just adding to your point, GitHub, right? They have invested, like, their founders had invested in a company called Magic, which is essentially replacing software engineers, where you can basically get a software engineer, but which is not a human being. So it's scary. I mean, when I think of all these scenarios.
There's one more thing, Devin, right? Like, there's a lot of noise
Have you heard about
Devin.
Devika?
No. What's Devika?
Devika is not somebody as a person, but it's a company which basically helps you to build your products, your maybe SaaS products, maybe your website, maybe your front end, your back end, everything without coding.
Okay.
right? You basically prompt in simple language, and it goes to the internet. It scrapes the best algo or best front end algorithms, as I said. It brings everything together and builds your website
From scratch to end.
from scratch to end. So when you build a website, right? Let's say, how do you build a website? You do research. You do many things, right? There's a process. You do a research, then you bring the content together, then you give it to the full stack developer. They do the back end, they do the front end, then UI UX comes in. So there is like a process. This whole process is replicated by Devika. It does not have to go to like UI UX designer. It does not have to go to the coder. It does not have to go to like something like researcher. It will go and come back. And there are 7 levels of AI, but eventually currently we are at the 4th level. That is AI.
Okay.
What is the 5th level? AGI. That is artificial general intelligence. Devika is the start of it,
Okay.
right? Where you basically automate your processes at that level that you don't need human involvement.
So how automated is this? Like, do you have to, like, that junior engineer role is eliminated essentially? You have become like a product manager now. So do you have to just oversee what's happening on the screen, or you just give it the prompt and then you fetch your coffee and you come back? What exactly is the role now?
It's the second one which you said, right? You basically type the prompt. You basically put your input variables, like what exactly you look like how you want to build it. And you can have references also. Like, I want to replicate like this website only, right? You can do that. And then you go bring your coffee back. It will give you the website. First, right, is like if you want to purchase a domain, it will come back to you, say that, hey, I want to purchase a domain from GoDaddy. This is the domain name. I suggest you this. You click on that, right? So there is something known as AutoGPT, if you remember.
Yeah.
8 months back.
Yeah.
Right. So AutoGPT is it's again a concept of AI where you install this into your system. So AutoGPT is basically, it goes to domain, purchase the domain. If you have already given your payment rights, it will purchase the domain. It will start building everything.
Okay.
Right. So every checkpoints will definitely be evaluated by you.
3 questions on this. Is it a free tool or no?
It's
a free tool.
It's going to be free.
Okay.
It's not launched yet.
I think you have to be on the wait list, right?
Yeah, we have to be in.
And what happens if I still don't get my final output? Like with
So
a
you-
human, I have the benefit that to call him, ye badal, get this right. With
So
this,
you have the personalization, you have the customization
You have
features
it-
in that.
okay.
And first of all, there are many, as I said, the full stack developers earlier used to know coding, but today they need to know prompting also. If they have the set of prompts which are like saved in their bucket, right, and industry specific. Let's say I want to build an app for, let's say on Shopify, I want to build an app for, I want to sell my sneakers, right? I want to sell this glass, right? There's a set of codes which is going to be replicate, right? You can have that prompts already installed, and then you just prompt at the right time.
And recently Sora also made a lot of noise.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
I'll say it's going to disrupt the media industry for sure. And there are people who are built in US when the access is already given, and you can build a whole movie out of Sora, right? So I'll tell you, it's going to be the future of how filmmaking is done, how media is going to be there, and how these jobs, like as I said, video editors, right? The jobs of, let's say, copywriters, the job of creative, anything creative, right, is going to be highly dependent on Sora, right? So the way text was dependent on GPT, for video, it will be Sora.
Okay. Anything else that's newly developed, or are there any new tools that the creative industry can like latch onto right now and expedite their creative process, or even like the output levels?
SME or MSME, who is actually running their businesses from like 30-40 years, right? Your dads, your great dads, great father, right? They're running a business from like 40 years. Now the Gen Z is coming in, right? What they try to do is online becho, right? I want to sell online. So I don't know, but I don't know. They are like plain BCom. I'm giving a real use case, right? They have done BCom, they have done like the basics of engineering and everything, but still they are not able to execute the brand building, right? So we do this very much in this community where we give them a roadmap. How can you use AI and build a brand within like 3 days?
Okay.
Right. So
In
now
3
let's
days?
say, if you want to design a logo, right? How much time will it take to design a logo, approximately?
It can take a week or even a month.
A month,
Yeah.
right? I'll give you average 15 days, right?
Yeah.
Then there is building a website for brand building. How much time it will take?
Months.
Depending
months?
on the content.
2 months, 15 days.
Yeah.
Then let's say I want to basically build my merchandise. How much time it will take?
Ideation phase, execution again can take a month or like more. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And let's say business card. How much time it will take?
10 days, 1 week.
Yeah.
Right? I can give you it in the next 3 days.
Okay.
Right? So that's how AI comes into place. And
And
I'll tell you how.
And how cost effective is this?
Free.
Free.
Yes.
Okay, where basically
So-
you can be spending, sometimes brands spend lakhs on all these processes.
Yeah.
You're essentially giving them for free
Yeah.
in 3 days.
Yeah. So I'll just give you a very fast thing. Like let's say the first thing which I do is, right, I want to do research. I want to do, like, he's an investor. He wants to invest in, let's say, industry, let's say luggage industry, right? I just want to ask him also, like, what is the basic research, in VCs does?
No, so first about the industry where you are investing. So you have to understand, who are the existing player, what is the industry per se, and when you are taking an investment call, are you looking at just a particular geography or a global level? So those are the basic parameters. Competition wise, what's the market sizing? What will be the future of luggage industry? It's going to remain the same or not, and based on that you actually take a decision. But these are basically on the market sizing of it. But the fundamentals around the founder and everything obviously remain the same.
And if you have seen Shark Tank, right, the basic matrix, CAGR kya hai, TAM kya hai,
Those are-
like these are the things, right? What if I tell you that usually they go to consultancy firms, like bigger firms, and they get the data, right? I'll tell you there's a tool which is free. You can use it, venturist.ai. It will give you a SWOT, it will give you your industry specific, country specific, domain specific, every single thing in a big report.
Okay.
A 12-page report which will give you what are your strengths in this business, what will be your weaknesses, what are your opportunities, how government is thinking in this industry, are they investing or not investing,
Everything.
every single thing. This 8-page document, which basically people charge, like consultancy like McKinsey and all charge like 20-25 lakhs, right, to do this research. This can be done by venturist.ai, and this is why McKinsey, Bain & Co, there are many layoffs also happening because there are many entrepreneurs at a smaller level are using such tools, right? I'll not say that they are accurate, but I'll say they are 70% accurate because I've used myself.
Okay.
Right? Definitely. Then you have to top on with the VCs and evaluate your data sets. Is it right or wrong? So venturist.ai research kiya, like I want to launch a brand which sells candle, right? Candle in Indian market, candle in Mumbai. What is the TAM, CAGR, everything will be given by them. SWOT analysis and everything. If you know pestle analysis, we have studied in our commerce, right? So it does that also. It gives you all, and it gives you a financial modeling also. Your projections also. 3 months projections, right? So 3 years projections. So it gives you that. Now what's the second step? Build a brand, find a name. So there's a tool known as Namelinks, which gives you the name. So my name, Yanisa, comes from Namelinks.
Okay.
Right? Great, with a meaning. Now I want to find a domain. It will find your domain also. Okay, and then I want to do merchandising. There's a tool known as Luca, which will give your business card, t-shirts, everything for free. Every single thing. There are many things. You can build your cap, like everything, right? So Luca will give you colors. It will basically set every single thing, like
Proper brand guideline. Everything.
yeah. Like for example, LinkedIn banner, right? It will give you that.
Okay.
Presentation, Zoom call ke piche, that thing. I don't know what is
The green screen.
green
yeah.
screen, right?
Yeah.
It will give you that also.
Okay.
It will give you whole merchandising. Then there is.
Are
then
you
what-
saying this is for free?
This is for free. Like
Okay.
obviously, if you want a higher level of services, there are nothing is for free in this world. But
Yeah.
I mean, there are ways to get it for free.
Got it.
Right. So then, what is your next step after brand building? Create a presentation deck. If I want to pitch him, pitch deck. Gamma. Use Gamma. Use your pestle like the report. Send it to him.
And then proof of concept, so go to market.
Yeah.
strategy.
Then obviously they will ask. They are also smart enough, right? They'll ask you the questions like how many years you have been doing this, blah blah blah. But I'll just tell you that we can launch a brand
Yeah.
in 7 to 15 days also. Right? So I have used application in D2C. Like let's say, as I said, Amazon nobody understand. Amazon calculator nobody understand. Right? We have something for that.
Very interesting.
Interesting for me also.
So yeah, I mean it's really moving fast. This space is moving fast, and if you know the use application of AI
Yeah.
in right way,
Yeah.
I mean you can, earn a huge chunk of money.
Yeah, and it's great for India, I feel, because like so many more entrepreneurs which had limited access, maybe because of the geographical location or even their background. Now they can, as you said, just there's no excuse like for them to launch a company or at least test. Like, okay, fine, this is in 1 week I've got a proper understanding of what this business more or less looks like, and then they can build upon that. They don't need to execute the brand building and everything instantly, but they can just say, okay, this is like a nice blueprint to work around and then build upon that thing.
Trust me, like I am getting calls from all the founders saying, Yash, tell me the tool for this, tell me the tool for this. I was like, I'm not a tool provider, I'm not a tool Wikipedia, but I'll just tell you, somebody just called me yesterday saying that I want to build a brochure, can you tell me this? I told him the tool.
Yeah.
Then he came back, I want to build mind maps, can you do this? Like mind maps for my team, and
Yeah.
you know, if you know Jira and
Yeah.
so heavy tools, so costly tools,
Yeah.
free.
Yeah.
I know the two alternatives
Right.
using AI.
Right.
But like I just have to prompt it and it will go on and on and on.
Got
Right?
it.
So there are ways to basically use AI,
Yeah.
and there are ways to build AI.
Yeah.
If you're into both, this is the future. So I recently, like if you know BNI meetings and everything,
Yeah.
so when there's an introduction, I should say that if AI is the future, I am your future. That was my tagline.
Very interesting.
So,
So I want to ask you, like all these companies that you are investing in, like the AI startups, what's the average age of those founders? Like, are these guys who are like super young coming to you and coming up with these AI startup ideas, or are these people like who are seasoned and have the experience and stuff? What's like the mix?
It's a fair mix, but yes, I must say, they are quite young.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody who's still studying in college to somebody who's just passed out, but doing a phenomenal job, because see, for them learning the technology is much faster as compared to somebody who has already spent years and now trying to do something. So they are also probably, if you really see that team, you may be probably spearheading the whole organization, whole venture, but as a part of your team, you will see all these people who are supporting your venture.
Got it.
But yes, most of them, as I've told you, are the youngsters.
Okay.
We
Very
have
interesting.
invested in something where they're still studying in college, they're still studying in university, but they have developed something where we thought that this is something which is going to be a phenomenal thing, and we actually invested. The development is still on, but yes, we have invested.
Great.
So
Because of
Yash,
this
two
credit.
concerns I have, right? Like low skilled people in India who don't have access to such education, right? The rural, or don't have income to upskill themselves. You think it's a big problem for them, or those jobs and those skill sets, like factory workers, will still be required? Drivers will still be required. You still need people to drive the car in India for an ambulance, right? It's not going to be robotic cars anytime soon. I hope in the future there is. Should the government now start promoting? They have
So
smartphones.
there are three
Right.
levels, I would
Yeah.
say there.
Yeah.
So there is blue collar job, white collar job,
Yeah.
and your execution level. So initially when AI came in, people thought that blue collar will be replaced first,
Yeah.
but eventually it's reverse, right? It's basically that like when I'm very sure you might have heard a line, AI कभी accuracy देता नहीं है और GPT थोड़ी ना replace कर देगा. That was the thing which we were talking 1 year back. But now today, people who are at a creative role, right? They are saying it, human element, creativity, AI cannot do it.
It's there.
Today, creativity is replaced by AI,
Yeah.
right? So if
Very
you know
true.
how to prompt write.
Yeah.
So they were like, if I'm not able to prompt right, and they were just blaming that AI is not giving you accurate results. AI can definitely replace the people who are in creative fields also.
And I think just look at what is happening. Government is realizing that. Okay, so they are also changing the whole education program. They are making it more and more relevant for people to learn this technical. So yes, while I agree that there are host of people who are not aware about this technology. They are still living in the world of the phones. But this technology is evolving so fast, so it becomes very much relevant to make it part of education policy, which is, I think, so there is a thirst on it. But just wanted to give some example. What he was mentioning, I have actually seen students along with the professor creating a kind of a app which is just drag and drop. So if I want to create something, I don't need to do anything else, just my selected parameters, I just drag it, drop it in the box, and my entire thing is done. So I have not done anything. So I don't need to learn, those technical languages and all those stuff, which is still relevant, but something which has been created for people who really are not technical guys, but at least if you know the parameters, how to create your app or how to create a chatbot, just do a drag and drop and your work is done.
So are there ethical concerns you think? Let's say I'm a student, like you said students, right? I have written my assignment using GPT. All my friends have used it via GPT and I submit it. I might get plagiarized, right? I might fail the exam because it's not my own prepared exam, not exam, sorry, I mean the coursework. What is there, should there be a certificate stamp that, hey, this is a GPT, I have used GPT, but this is still my original work? Is there any development in that?
It's a very funny story, and
because I'm just thinking, if I was a student now and I have access to all of this.
So I was basically in a university and we were building some LMS for them using AI, right? The first concern which faculties told me, yes, everybody's talking about ChatGPT and they're bringing their assignments with ChatGPT. Is there any way I can identify it? I said use zero GPT. It's basically identify
If it
is built by GPT or not. So there are tools out there, right?
Okay.
So that was like a very simple conversation. But then I thought about it. And this comes to your question, right? Ethical and this. So when you go to social media, now all the platforms will start having the badges, AI generated or not AI generated. So they can identify, so LinkedIn can identify, Instagram can identify, any social media can identify it very easily.
Yeah.
Now, it will take time for consumers to understand कि AI से लेना बुरा नहीं है, right? But at least हमें पता होना चाहिए कि AI से content generated है.
Fair. I have a question over here. Suppose I'm a non-native English speaker and I want to make a presentation or make a document or report in English. So I can loosely give you bullet points to the GPT that this is my idea and these are all original ideas coming from me. And then that GPT gets the entire data that I've given the program and it presents a nice report.
Right.
Two things have happened here. One, GPT has got access to my original idea because now it's in its database. And second thing, it has generated a report. That report is AI generated. Is it original or is it not? Because the idea was mine. GPT never knew that this thing
It's
existed.
not. Output is from GPT.
Output is from GPT. So like how do you classify that?
Let me just tell you, and it's the incidents that I have gone through. I was actually taking interviews for incoming batch of MBA students, and there are a specific set of questions, and you have to basically write an answer in your language. Believe me, if I have looked at 20 interviews, okay, 16 out of 20, I can actually read and I can by myself make out that this is something which they have directly, used GPT to create an answer and just post
More
it.
than
over there.
80% of the interviews.
So, people are using it. The only thing is, as he has rightly pointed out, there are tools available which works both the ways. If you have created something using ChatGPT, then there are tools which basically helps you in making it more as your own language, rather than AI driven language. So those are also available. There are tools which actually tells you that, okay, fine, if you look at a particular language, whether it is generated using AI or not. So your answer to your question that whether there is a possibility, yes, and I think so. People are actually looking at that and understanding. They can just make out by reading it. This is something which is done by using ChatGPT.
It's like what happened at WhatsApp forwards. First people were getting confused that is this original content or not, and then eventually people became smart enough to understand that okay, this is like looks fake.
So ethics and privacy concerns have to be tackled thoroughly.
Absolutely.
So that also for plagiarism, like
Right.
Sir said, you don't want everyone to submit same or take undue credit. If I read your stuff from this podcast and transcribe it and I post it as a LinkedIn article that guys use this tool, I'm kind of plagiarizing Yash, which is not correct, right?
you're again an inspiration. Again and again,
Okay.
I'm saying the same.
That's where
So
you're
I'll tell
saying,
you,
yeah.
99% of the content creators today
Yeah.
are actually doing the same thing. They are actually going to the
Inspiration.
the inspiration part, right?
So repurposed.
It's exactly. So and I don't think so. You should stop that because eventually, see, how does it matter that if I speak here and you cannot transcribe? The more distribution it is, the better it is, right? But when it comes to the originality, the person who can think can only deliver.
So,
right?
Yeah.
So if you give your brains to GPT and tell that brain तू चला, मैं सिर्फ type करूँगा, it will not work out. He will identify, as he said. So marketing buzzword. So there is a way to basically, like if he said that 16 people use GPT, I can just be smarter. 17th person will not be able to identify that I have used GPT or not.
Unless it comes with a badge.
Yeah. So it's all about.
It's translating what has been generated through GPT.
Yeah.
Yes, GPT will certainly give you data because, you know, as a human being, you know, as a person, it's not possible for me to, you know, go through 20 different data sets to create, you know, one single answer. But, you know, if it is generated, then on top of it, I have to use my own brain. And I think that is something which I was telling you, that you have to think out of the box, that, you know, how are you going to make it, which is basically your own thought process.
So will it, yes, you think it'll give rise to the original content writers again with their demand that now there's a clear segregation, blue tick, I mean not blue tick, but a stamp of GPT versus original, because right now even if they post with or without GPT, we don't know clear description.
Right. So see,
differences.
let's say if all the algo of all the social media, there are two options. One is algo, as I said, they will have a badges. It is generated by AI, right? Or second is they don't promote the AI generated content. So eventually what will happen is the original people who writes, right, they will be promoted more. And this is what is happening on LinkedIn today. If you do it from ChatGPT, you'll not get impressions, right? But if you actually write it, you will get impressions.
This is true for SEO as well, right?
Yeah, it's basically a SEO concept for each and every. It's like hygiene check for each and everything, right? So I believe content creators, specifically if you write copy ads and if you write copies, right, copywriters will be highly valuable. So all the execution skills like video editor, copywriter, maybe something like let's say videographer, right? They'll not be eliminated. It's just they're going to leverage AI to make their work faster.
So we spoke about all these use cases. Let's talk about the future, like what I'm personally looking forward to, large scale problems, right? Like solving cancer, like solving COVID, farmers issues, right? Like better crop yield. Are there advances like in that space
Very
exploration?
Very much.
Very much. Are you looking at
Very much. So
investing
we
in
have
that?
we have actually invested in a startup called Swasthya.ai. Again, you know, AI. It is actually collecting all the data sets of the cancer patient to analyze and come out with some kind of a, you know, specific you know, outcome. And you know, it's already working, and you know, they're working with Tata Memorial and, you know, other hospitals. So I'll not say that, you know, people are not working on that. You ask about, you know, farming. I think so. Host of startups who are working on it. You know, starting from drone technology, which again is coupled with, you know, your AI, to the ground level, you know, IoT devices, which are again backed by you know, AI. So
Like
I think so. Anything and everything, you call it a large scale, you know, issues also, problems. It will be there. And as you rightly, I think so, the fintech. You know, most of the people, they really don't know, you know, how to manage their finance. AI is something which is going to, you know, help them manage their finance in a better way.
we have developed some proof of concepts internally, but like you said, with the privacy and data issues, we've not been able to release it to the public.
Absolutely.
Yash, as part of your business venture, what was your first major financial milestone that you won because of your upskilling in AI and winning a first major client? What was that feeling like?
When I came out of EdTech, right, I was also working for a SaaS product after EdTech. And then the first thing I did when I launched this company was build a course on AI.
Okay.
Right. So I have a generative AI course on Udemy also, and I have a generative AI course like I've partnered with many universities in Bombay. So we are teaching physically, like Saturday Sundays we go and we teach not only the students but also the faculties. So the first thing which happened, the first milestone was I upskilled 10,000 learners. That was my goal in year 1, and I actually achieved it. So we got cohorts after cohorts after cohorts, and luckily AI was booming and generative AI was booming at that time. So that was my the first milestone which I aimed was like, hey, I want to achieve this number. We achieved it. So that was my first financial achievement, I would say, in this company. Second was then I got to know that this is for him, and actually I wanted to ask him, and this is the major reason, right? Let's say investors, right? Because I am entering into angel investing. Today we just want to identify which startup will work or not. Can you do it by AI or not? Right? So there are many, obviously there's Axel, there is Antler, they're working on this. And they're using no code and AI to understand, let's say, his background, not 100x VC, but his background. He has invested personally in 20 startups, right? How can I go back and understand his success ratio, okay, his due diligence process, and his gut feeling? Because majorly when you see Shark Tank also, it's not that they are just investing on entrepreneurship, right? There are many factors which they are taking into consideration. I'm building something similar to that. How can I predict my next investment in the AI way? So that's something which I want to give it to all the VCs and incubation centers. There are many use applications, co-working space and everything. Coming back to my personal finance, so after the course, I went to consultancy. So it's a 3-model business which I'm working in. That's consultancy where all the B2B players reached out to me saying that, yes, AI, you are teaching us very well, you're doing training and everything. But, help us to basically build systems and processes leveraging AI. So there are automobile company, with the voice of the sound of the engine, can I predict how old is my engine? These are the use application, right? Then there is like with air pollutants in the air, can I collect it and build something? So we are building bricks out of it.
Okay, wow.
Right, so these are some of the use applications which we are working on, and then obviously the core, like as I said, D2C is my core. So I have like cosmetic brands, I have skincare brands, I have my own brand. We have a bags lifestyle brand. These people are coming to me and saying, as I said, Amazon. I want many people going on Amazon and saying that I'm trying on Amazon, but Amazon is taking so much charges, so they're delisting their thing, right? Okay. They're not able to understand the core of Amazon, and then they work out with agencies. So sorry to agencies, but we are trying to eliminate agencies using AI and no code.
So you're using
but
AI
interesting stuff what he said, and I have seen it. Just 2 weeks back, we were running innovation program for Panasonic Corporation Japan. The first theme was basically startups who are into energy management system for industrial and commercial spaces, and one of the top who's qualified for investment proposal from Panasonic is working on the whole pollution thing, so the air part of it. So the way it works is its use of AI along with IoT, which I was mentioning. It actually detects how the sunshine will come, what is the outside pollution level, and how much that you need to manage inside. So they are active in Delhi kind of a thing, which is what we know.
Obvious reasons.
And it's working very well. So this kind of stuff which is very much relevant. But Yash, when it comes to making an investment decision, I think somewhere it may or may not, but my personal take is it's individual. So my thought process, how I am taking an investment decision, and whether the decision that I have taken, whether it's going to go right only, it's very difficult to gauge, because if I have taken a decision, something which is, let's say, Series A kind of a startup, whether that will succeed to Series D kind of a thing, or it will probably, next 6 months and it will just fail. I don't know. I have seen such kind of instances. So it's very difficult to predict those kind of a thing. It's not about a person who's investing, but there are multiple external factors which are impacting operation of a startup or a future of startup. So we may see something which I have done, but something which may not work.
So I have a question over there. Like, suppose there is an investor who has a very high success rate, okay, or a high ROI on whatever investments he has made, and you clone his persona into a digital persona, and you replicate that into multiple markets. Like, if that investor only invests in US markets, you make that persona relevant to say a South American market, okay, which is again it understands the cultural nuances and the investment landscape of South America, and say that okay, this is I'm working in America, but I want a version of me in South America, Asia, Europe. Will that be possible? You think?
This requires to build your own LLMs and your own data sets, and to build an LLM and like it requires huge GPU power. It requires huge capital, yes, for sure. But I'll tell you what we are trying to do right now is first is definitely automate the due diligence. That's something which we're aiming at, and bring a recommender system, which you are talking about. Can I get a recommender system that with startups can I replicate my persona to, right? But coming back to the answer, I totally agree with him. It is really not going to give you accurate answer for sure. It's not going to give you accurate answer. It's going to succeed or not. But and today, if you go to GPTs or any other AI tools out there, they're not accurate. They are exactly like 72%. Like if you say GPT, it is 72. Anthropic has reached 83.
Okay.
Nobody's 100 on 100, right? So what we're trying to do is go close as much you can, right? And if I go in America and then in South America, right? So there are many major factors which comes in, right? So these factors are parameters, and these parameters are data sets, and data sets requires GPU, right? So in simple language, as I said, what is GPU? It's basically a team of Avengers, right? And then there is CPUs. So it's basically individual hero, right? So you require the whole team to get to that output, right? You require investment, you require team players, you require MLA engineers, you require data scientists, you require many people to get to that output, right? And it requires huge power also, power of not money but power as in the electricity, right? So it's definitely going to be very difficult to come to that solution, but I'm telling you there are VCs who are actually building it.
Think about a VC or think about an investor who's sector specific, okay? An investor or a VC who's focused only on, let's say, fintech. You know what they have invested, where they have invested, which kind of a fintech they have invested, which kind of a geographies they have invested. Now, if you can use that data point and create some kind of a model which is only fintech specific, then yes, that kind of a predictive analysis will be possible. But otherwise, somebody who's like sector agnostic, like I'm a sector agnostic. Now, I may today invest in one, tomorrow my thesis will completely change. It becomes very difficult to predict.
So building upon that point, this thought comes to my head. You can probably even make sector specific CEOs or sector specific CXOs, whatever. Like if there's a fintech CEO which has been very successful and has scaled a startup from 1 to 10x, you just replicate that persona in multiple multiple geographies, maybe in a different country or a different continent altogether, and see how that particular persona performs, even not in the real world, but maybe just run a test, like make a simulation and see, okay, this is the persona of this particular CEO, and see in this particular location, say Europe, will this CEO succeed, looking at the current situation. Run a simulation, like fast track it by 1 year and see, okay, the success rate of this particular CEO is 80%, but this CEO is 90%. So now replicate that in the real world.
Look at that in a different way, CEO's decision making, because that's where you are looking at that persona, right? So create those kind of a different situation, let's say starting from cash flow management to the target to the profitability, everything. You can put all the parameters put together, and then under each of the parameter, how the decision making of the CEO will happen, and what is the impact of his decision on the company as a whole. Now, if you are able to create those kind of a thing, yes, you will be able to create some kind of a model.
Like a short-term analysis, like, okay, I'm feeding it to the AI model that I want to take this decision. How will it impact the outcome based on all this data you have? Okay, this has 20% success rate, but this has 50% success rate. Okay, let me try this one.
But believe me, that also, as you rightly pointed out, that also will require hundreds of other data points, because if I'm looking at one decision as a CEO, there are hundred of external parameters, like something which is happening globally. Now tomorrow something happens globally which is going to impact my decision itself as a CEO.
Correct.
I have no control on it.
Correct.
Yes, and I'll to top on that, this is more like an entrepreneurial talk. If you know about WorldCoin, right?
Yeah.
If you add cryptocurrency into it,
Yeah.
you can have virtual coins and you can have virtual financing.
Yeah.
Right, done. So I mean, it's a product by itself. I know for a fact, but it's a segment which is not tapped on, and there's a huge gap there. Currently, everything is working with major gut feelings or factors which it's more like an Excel sheet which they have built. If everything is green, then it's green, right?
Yeah.
So this can be automated. This can be generated by AI also,
Yeah.
and I see a huge scope in this particular segment. So that is where the third part, consultancy and acceleration,
Yeah.
where we basically take the data sets of, let's say he's into, as he said, like we are tapping, like let's say Kunal, right, from Cred. He's only invested in one type, like typical segment sort of thing. Then there is Sauce. Sauce is into D2C only, right? And I'm actually tapping him also. I'm seeing what is the investment, how he's making. When I get these data sets, I can get a good recommender system.
Yeah.
So that's something which people can build on. Yeah.
Couple that with the new flow of investment opportunities. I think so. The way it will work is you have trained your algo based on existing data set. Now the same algo on a different investment opportunity, what will be its decision making? Whether it is going to give me green on all the parameters or there will be couple of red flags, that will help me in taking a decision. So what he is saying is something, but as I mentioned, it is more on a sector specific. It will be very easy to do that, but when it comes to sector agnostic, it becomes very difficult.
I feel once these things actually manifest in the real world, again the landscape will completely change, because now every single person, whether you're a first time entrepreneur or you're someone in the industry since 50 years, you all will have the same level of like data available to you, and which is true right now as well, but now it's highly automated and you can just run simulations on your computer for every decision that can happen, and even have a predictive analysis that based from today to 2 years from now, if I run this company in this way, what will the company look like? Obviously, as Sir rightly mentioned, there are a lot of variables that could change, but it's a more informed decision than just blindly walking into the thing.
Absolutely.
And there is, like as I said, there is GitHub for coders, Hugging Face for something like MLAI engineers, but nothing for entrepreneurs and investors, right?
Yeah.
So there would be for sure, but I'm saying something like a social media where there is open source and get these processes from the investors.
Yeah.
So I can see a huge gap there, but for sure this is a very interesting space.
Yeah.
But bottom line is decision making has to be yours, and I'll just not stop by saying this thing. But when I used to discuss with Sanjay Mehta, he's the founding partner of 100x VC, I used to ask him that whether I should invest in this particular startup or not. And he told me the same thing. Don't follow, what I am doing, because you really don't know. You can see the successes, but you really don't know what are the failures. So if you follow something, you have to basically, yes, take some part of it, but then ultimately you have to devise your own decision making, and based on that only you have to work. You can't just do a FOMO. If you follow something, it's a sure shot of taking some kind of a wrong decision.
You think, sir, like another point comes to my mind. If these tools actually manifest in the world, which they will mostly, people will stop trusting their own gut and actually start automating their thought process as well. It will be like, I don't want to, like for the next 10 weeks I have to take these decisions, just automate it and just go to the meeting and say that ye karo, ye karo, ye karo, ye karo. That's it. And because of that, eventually over a course of time, my brain is not developing enough, because I'm just a slave to what the tool is telling me. And when the nucleus fails, like whatever the nucleus is, and those AI tools shut down, I'm just crippled and I don't know how to function in a business environment anymore. Do you think that's a major concern?
Let's go to basic. If you have a team right now, right? So if they know about ChatGPT and they are doing something, right? Do you think that they are using their brain enough to come back to you? Because I am talking to many founders right now. They're like, hey, everything is done on ChatGPT now, right? And the same thing, like everybody's dependent on ChatGPT so much. Now they're not using their brain.
Yeah.
I think the ownership will not go, because if you present something from these tools and you screw it up and you present the wrong thing at that moment, you cannot
add one factor. You have to create your own persona.
One persona,
Because while you are thinking about a CEO taking decisions in various situations, it's about me who's taking a decision, right?
Yeah.
If I have to create my own persona who's taking a decision automatically, then only it can happen, otherwise it will not. And I think that's not possible. Means that's my take on it. But you really don't know what's the
If you
future.
don't know,
So, sir, on a closing note, any advice out there for the upcoming startups entering this industry? Please, if you could share your expertise.
Certainly. See, AI, ML, I think so it's the future. But having said that, for the upcoming entrepreneurs, those who are basically venturing into or intending to venture, what's the right path? One is you follow the success stories. So, somebody has created some successful model. Just follow that, replicate and create a model. But there is no differentiator. So, think from investor's perspective, or think yourself as an investor. If you are developing something, you yourself as an investor, whether you put in your money or not. If you are replicating something which is already there in market, my suggestion is don't go for that. Unless until you have identified something unique, or you are on a journey to create something unique, and which is basically a sustainable model, then you please do it. Don't replicate something which is already there. Don't do a FOMO. It's more about unique, because this is a technology. We are not talking about some product. This is a technology which is constantly evolving. So you have to better focus on the evolving of technology rather than following something which is already there. So I think so. This is probably my suggestion, my advice from the investor's perspective.
It's basically follow the blue ocean strategy, right? Don't get into like a competitive market space if you're just going to bleed out and die. But
Absolutely.
sir, like looking like a slightly different lens to it, what if a company wants to jump into the water, build upon an existing sort of a stack, and then pivot? That's their aim, and they come to you that, sir, Abhi, I know that this company is following a certain trajectory which 10 other startups are following, but we also have a level 2 plan where once we achieve that sort of scale, we're going to pivot into this space. When someone comes to you like that, what do you say?
So, see, that is where our intuition or our understanding of the domain also is very much relevant. If you believe that this market is going to get stagnated, and you need to pivot, and he has a clear plan for that, and he knows how it is going to happen, yes, it makes sense to invest into that. But generally it does not happen that way. You try something, you understand, you either hit a wall and you try to pivot, or you are looking at something which is a failure, or some new disruption, some new technology which is coming, which is prompting you to pivot. And I'll probably just share one example. Way back, we have invested in one startup which was on a Aadhaar API. Now at that point of time it was very much relevant, so we were like gung-ho, we invested in that. Eventually 2 years down the line, the founder came to us and he said, now it's not going because the regulations have changed and I'm pivoting into something else. Now we actually understood from him, and we decided to invest into what he is pivoting into. He did a phenomenal job.
Okay.
And we actually took a successful exit from that. So, it's more about you understanding, like a founder, even the investor needs to be, more, visionary.
Yeah.
They need to understand, what will be the repercussion or what will be the outcome of a founder when he is deciding to pivot. And I think so this is how it needs to be done. So it's a two-way process. I cannot just put it on founder and say that, okay, fine, you have to do it. It's from my perspective as an investor, I need to visualize, because I'm interacting with 1,000 people. I'm looking at 1,000 different things, and something which is relevant for them. So now they are not pivoting, but if I believe they need to pivot because I have a sense of it, then I need to advise them. So it works both the ways, not just one side of it.
Great, sir. Yash, any closing notes?
Definitely, I see that in next 3 years, this space is going to evolve a lot. People who are thinking that I'll enter into this space after 6 months or 12 months, this space is really complicated. There is something like tech jargons and everything. Trust me, it will take only like a day to start. So the day you start, you win. And when you know that there is a bell curve, right, for every skill set, when 2018 digital marketing, was booming a lot, right? And 2022-23, it got saturated. Everybody entered into it. People who started in 2018 till 23 earned a lot, right? Same way with content creation, which I see. 2020, when COVID started, every content creators had their, finances sorted. So I feel this is the time where India should pick up, because I believe from 8 billion, which I told earlier, till 95, that's China, which we are reaching, right? We have that much of scope. And everybody who will be a part of this journey will eventually be leading the AI race. But yes, as I said, it takes one day to start and decide that you want to start today, because tomorrow, the way we are actually using each and every, like we're using phone, we're using internet, we are using everything, AI is going to be a necessity. It's not just going to be an option, it's a necessity thing in your professional career. Maybe it enters to your personal life also.
Great. Thank you so much, guys. I think this episode was like packed with information. Now you don't have an excuse to not use AI. You don't have an excuse to not start your business. And thank you, guys. Thank you so much for coming. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.